Hello fellow running and shoe enthusiasts. It's Ed, tie what appears to be packing foam to the bottom of my feet and run very fast Bud here. Today one of the best looking, performing and smelling shoes in my collection. A long run test in the ASICS METASPEED SKY. Thanks for joining me once again on the channel, guys. It is always appreciated. Your support is most welcome. If you haven't done so yet, help the channel out by hitting that subscribe button and also clicking the bell below for notifications of when we roll out the new videos for you. You can also hit that like button and also share this video with your running buddies. Dankeschön. So 11 miles today on some demolished legs. I had a 2.5 hour gig the night before. It's a lot of standing up. People think it's easy, but no, there's a lot of standing up involved in moving boxes, equipment, amplifiers, and the only sustenance available is ready salted crisps. But I think actually standing up for long periods of time like that is actually really important in terms of my training. It actually seems to improve my running performance. I remember I had a gig before the Bristol Half back in September of last year and it had the same effect. A well-rested Ed, when he took on the Salisbury Half Marathon a few weeks later, just couldn't do it. 18 kilometers today, alternating hard effort for 3 miles, then a mile of steady effort. Lovely sunny weather, which gave my Garmin Instinct watch a chance to use its solar powered features. Actually charged up a little bit, which was really interesting. Quite a bit of sunshine out there today, it was very welcome. As an avid viewer of the Techmoan YouTube channel, it's really great when you get to see one of those functions actually operational. And in the UK it's pretty grey here most of the time. There were some 16-mile-an-hour winds rattling around and some 9-degree temperatures, only reduced a little by those gusts. The shades were mandatory today rather than optional. The shoe for today's long run was the ASICS METASPEED SKY, so how did it perform? Upperwise we've got a hugging mesh here, which I have to be honest now, around 60 miles, does fit a little snug. I would suggest being very careful on sizing if you're going to pick up a pair of these shoes in the near future. The ASICS Nova Blast 2 and the Gel Nimbus 24 both fit me perfectly in a UK size 10.5, and that's exactly what I've got here in the METASPEED SKY. They're just about spot on really, as long as I'm using a quite thin race sock. Anything more than that and it's a no-go. You'd be alright for a few miles, but I think if you wanted to wear these for a half marathon or marathon race, you want that extra little bit of wiggle room. I gotta be honest, this is a shoe that I only really want to run at higher paces in. It's not something I bring out for a canter around the block or something. And as such, a race sock's probably what I'd actually use with it anyway. So fits good, but just bear it in mind. Careful consideration is what you need if you're going to pick up a pair. Lockdown today and has always been from when I took them out the box for the first time. Spot on. It's a set and forget situation. A bit like your alarm clock on a Monday morning. The lightweight mesh and the waxy laces make for an upper that just disappears over the miles. Some uppers on shoes are quite present, aren't they? You can really feel them, they're always there, you're always conscious of them, but this shoe isn't like that. And there's no point really where any lace tension shenanigans had to occur. There wasn't any change of the lockdown, it was just very consistent over the miles. Despite the fact there's no real conventional counter to the back of the shoe here. Normally you've got something there to add a little bit of rigidity to the heel section, but there's nothing there. You don't get any heel slip from this shoe, it's just pretty much spot on when it comes to upper. Importantly, there was no tongue slip on the miles today. It stayed firmly centre field. It's a very good track actually, that by John Fogerty. You should go check it out. And I think it's about as comfortable upper fit as you're going to get for a shoe that only weighs 223 grams in my UK size 10.5. That's sub 8 ounces for a race shoe, guys. Also, you have to say that this is a beautiful creation. One of the most wonderful looking shoes in my collection. I really like that other colourway they've released of these. It really does pop. It reminds me a little bit of the Tutti Frutti gels that I took out with me today from Science and Sport. That is the most rock and roll gel that you can possibly get. This reminds me of Little Richard. Midsole now. Now, there's a strange optical illusion in this shoe. It does actually look like there's more foam in the forefoot or sort of midfoot section of the shoe as opposed to the heel. Almost looks exactly the same in height, but I'm here to tell you it's hogwash. My UK 10.5 is approximately 38mm in the heel, and there's about 33mm in the forefoot. It's just really weird. Every time I pick the shoe up, it makes it look like there's more in the forefoot. I think it's this bit here where it kind of cups around the foot slightly. It just adds a bit of an optical illusion. Quite a few people have asked me what the Flight Foam Turbo material's like in the ASICS METASPEED SKY. It has a strange cardboard-like quality about it. I can't quite explain it, but it feels a little bit like slightly damp cardboard. It's certainly a more rebound material, perhaps more like Zoom X, I suppose, as opposed to Fuel Cell or Light Strike Pro. I have to say, these felt dynamite once again at those faster pace miles. I run some 5Ks in this one, some 10Ks and the half marathon. Every time I'm always left with a smile on my face. It's a bit like watching one of your favourite episodes of Only Fools and Horses. Cosmic. I did manage to knuckle down to my goal half marathon pace later on in the run, and I feel the midsole profile here on the ASICS METASPEED SKY really does promote quite a fast cadence. It wants you to run fast. Certain shoes kind of want you to just amble along, but not this one. ASICS have cleverly increased the midsole width in the forefoot and the sidewalls, making for a piston-like effect as the foot strikes. This shoe is another one that has a midsole foam that's improving over time. The more miles you put into it, the more you get back out. I'm going to start calling that the New Radicals effect. A joyous run in these today, certainly from the midsole perspective, and the last hard effort before the Yeovil Half Marathon next weekend. Outsole now. Always reminds me of a ping pong bat. Bit of a mixed bag here. The forefoot section here, the rubber's really grippy, a little bit tacky, certainly weight reduced with those holes, and very, very flexible too. 60 miles or so and the rubber durability isn't really a concern. There's none there whatsoever. I think if anything, it's actually more grippy now than it was when I first took it out of the box. I do, however, have some wear on the lateral heel section of the shoe. I think if they extended the rubber back just a little bit further, that it would negate that completely. I do have a bit of a theory about that. When I first used these shoes, they got very, very wet, and I think as the foam's starting to break down a little bit, the water's actually caused the exposed stuff to, I think, degrade perhaps faster than it would have. A Flight Foam Turbo here that's unpainted and just sort of left to the elements really is taking a beating. Now, some people might say, oh, you heel strike or you drag your heel or something. I haven't got that in any other shoe. It's only this one. There's way more miles in the Takumi Sen 8, for example, and there's no wear whatsoever in that area of the shoe. Vomero 16, zero wear in that section of the shoe. Next percent 2, no wear in the heel section. So it's not that. I think it's down to the design of this shoe. I predict that in the next version of this one, that ASICS will extend back those rubber traction fins a bit further into the heel. That's going to extend the life of the shoe quite considerably, I think. It's a small sacrifice of extra rubber, extra weight, but I think that's going to be to the benefit of the shoe, making it a vastly more durable model. A lot of brands are actually removing some of that exposed midsole material where you don't need it, and that's helping them to add a little bit more rubber to the bottom of the shoes onto the outsole without having to increase the weight. And of course, that's the big thing. Everyone wants a nice light race shoe. I think we've seen that in a few New Balance and Puma models that are set to launch this year. No wet areas to worry about today. They even performed reasonably well when I have to take evasive action on some grassy areas today. A few people just refused to get out the way or just amble around on the path I was running on, and I had to leap onto the grass. A little bit muddy. A great performance though today, and it's reinforced the views I had before about the METASPEED SKY. Let me know if you've got this shoe and you really treasure it, or you're thinking about picking up a pair in the near future. Give us your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. A musical interlude for you. I've been listening to a lot of rock and roll recently, sort of getting back to playing some gigs. It's got me thinking about my favourite music, and it certainly is always there. And those energy gels, it has to be today. Little Richard, the best of the VJ years, which has this terrifying picture of Little Richard in the inside cover there. He basically stomps through all of his well-known tracks and some covers too. It's piano pumping stuff. He almost sounds unhinged on whole lot of shaking going on. I particularly like the track Ooh My Soul. I used to drop in that and cop that one every live gig. There's a really good version of Rip It Up on here as well, which is one of his best tracks, I think. Sometimes these 60s or 70s rehash albums can be a bit of a money grab, but not this one. It does some real heart and soul to it. This is one of those remastered albums. It sounds really good as well. If you can track it down, The Best of the VJ Years by Little Richard. It's time for me to rock and roll out of here. Thanks for staying tuned, guys. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications when we roll out the new videos for you. value. And give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you